Hello, everybody. Sean Davis here for Raptors Nation, your home for everything Raptors. The Raptors, well, since last time we recorded, they've won a game. They split their last two games since our last podcast, beating the Detroit Pistons 95-91 and losing, to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Actually, we did do one, I don't think, after the Pelicans game. So they're 2-1 since the All-Star break. Sean Davis here, joined as always by Luca Rosano. Luca had some optimism beforehand, like, hey, can they turn it around? Get blasted by the Cavs tonight, but 2-1 since the All-Star break. How are you doing? And I guess just dive right into it. How have your feelings changed, if at all, since we last talked?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm in the exact same spot feeling wise as the last time we recorded this pod. So here's my instant reaction to the Raptors just getting hammered by Cleveland. I mean, this thing wasn't close, but at one point the Raptors did cut it to 4, but then it was just Cleveland throughout. We'll get more into the game in a bit, but two reactions to this. On one end, it's like, okay, I didn't expect the Raptors to win this game because from a schedule standpoint, it was a tough spot. Raptors playing the day before a 12 o'clock game in the afternoon, a 12 o'clock game against the Pistons. And that was a game where the Pistons took them to the brink to the end of that game. And then the Raptors had a quick turnaround where they were playing a Cleveland team that they had beaten 3 times this season. It's so hard to beat a team 4 times in a season. Cleveland had lost 2 games in a row. They were pissed off. They had some rest to kind of get ready for the Raptors. So this was not a good schedule spot for the Raptors at all. Now, was I surprised that the Raptors lost by this much? Yes, I did not expect the Raptors to be down by, I think, as many as 31 at one point and just look very bad throughout. But at the same time, I can sympathize where, yeah, it was a tough spot for them. And then on the other end, it's like, I know a lot of fans have been optimistic and, we're seeing things half glass full, that this team might be turning the corner. But at the same time, Sean, I think we still need to see more from this team in order for me to confidently say that this team is in fact back, because I know they have been playing better. They were on a winning streak prior to this beat down, but you look at the schedule, they were beating teams that, let's call it for what it is, they should be bad teams, if you will. I mean, they were beating the Pistons, who almost stole that game twice during this stretch. They beat the Pelicans, who have been a mess. So the Raptors have been getting these wins to get themselves back into this thing by beating bad teams. But now it's going to be a make or break time for them, because they're going to be taking on teams that actually have something to play for. Starting Tuesday, massive spot against the Chicago Bulls, who all of a sudden look good with Pat Beverly on that team. They've won their last 2, and it's been 2 blowout wins for them. So Raptors going to be taking on teams that will not be rolling over, whether it's fighting for the play-in or positioning the standings. The next 10 games starting Tuesday are going to mean something for both teams doing battle. So we'll talk about this more, but yeah, Chicago, Washington twice before you enter that very, very tough West portion of the schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, by the way, you mentioned the Bulls. If you want to talk about the only team that might be more indecisive in whether or not it wants to, tear it down or like look competent, it's the Chicago Bulls. Like you have games where with the Bulls, they might beat Boston twice. I might be wrong, but you have games where you look really, really good, look like you could make the playoffs, and then you have like a 5-game streak where you look like you just need to tear the house down, blow everything up. You trade for you don't trade. You sign Pat Bev, you kill the Nets, and now you look competent again. So the Bulls are just the Raptors, but worse in terms of their indecisiveness. But yeah, like you mentioned, and we've talked about this a lot, especially in recent episodes. It's about to get tough, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the next between now at the time of this release, February 27th, until March 22nd, with that being your last game, the Raptors will not play an insignificant game of basketball for their opponent. Chicago, Washington twice, Denver at Denver, the Clippers, the Lakers, who, by the way, got a big time win, the Denver Nuggets again, Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is the one game where it might not matter, depending on if they finally decide, all right, this was fun, let's stop winning. For my sake, I hope it is that. Minnesota, they have to try. I mean, they traded 5 first-round picks, a all-star caliber guard, 2 high-level role players for, I mean, the 10th best center in basketball, essentially.
Yeah, Kessler looks better than Gobert right now.
Literally. And then at Milwaukee and at home against Indiana. That could be another game where they might finally pack it in. But as of right now, that is a game where I think Indiana is still trying to win. And then it's Detroit. And then it's right back with Washington, Miami, Philly, Charlotte, Boston, Milwaukee. So, like, there is no break. I don't know. I don't have the data right in front of me. But you have to imagine the Raptors have one of, if not the toughest schedules down the stretch of the regular season. So, Luca, we kind of talked about this off air. How crucial is it the Raptors, at bare minimum, go 2-1 in these next 3, if not completely go 3-0?
Yeah, you made the argument that they needed to be a game above 500 going into that crucial west part of the schedule. And really, you attach the Bucks game to that. It's 7 tough games in a row. Let's call it for what it is. I'm not going to – I'll give OKC the benefit of the doubt. I think, whether or not they they decide to tank, that's going to be a tough game anyway. So, yeah, you got 7 really, really tough games coming up. I would say at the very worst, you got to go 2-1. You got to get the game against Chicago. That's huge. You have to beat the Bulls because the Bulls are on the outside right now. If the Raptors lose, you give the Bulls the opportunity to re-enter the play-in. Whereas if you beat the Bulls, I believe the Raptors would then be 2 games up on the Bulls. So you have an opportunity to create a little bit of that separation. Whereas if you lose to the Bulls are right back into this thing. Well, right now, yeah, they're a game and a half back. The Bulls are of the Raptors. So you have to beat the Bulls, and then you got to get 1 of 2 against the Wizards. If you get all 3 of these, you are feeling good, and that's the best case scenario. If you get 2 out of 3, you're still feeling okay. If you somehow, lose all 3 or get 1, then you're like, okay, this could end up being very, very bad. And I'll say this, Sean, I mean, I'm looking forward to these next couple of games because I think in the games against the Bulls and the Wizards, we're going to see, like, will the real Raptors team show up? Is this going to be the team that, in fact, looks back, or is this going to be the Raptors team that, should have just sold at the deadline and they gave their fans false hope and all that? Because, like, if you look at this Raptors team, I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer, you got to go back quite a while. And, like, when you find the Raptors' last quality win against a quality opponent, and that was January 25th against the Kings. Like, since
February 5th, Memphis. Oh, wait, unless Ja didn't play.
Ja didn't play. Ja didn't play. So that was their last quality win against the Kings team. Now, right now, they're third. They're clicking because then the Warriors beat them. They beat the Blazers, who didn't have the Blazers stink. I mean, they did have Dame in that game. But then, like you said, the Grizzlies game, they didn't have Ja. So the Raptors have caught a lot of breaks here over the last couple of weeks. And like I said, they have had a very favorable schedule that they have taken advantage of. And, like, don't be fooled. I mean, the Pistons lost by 1 on Super Bowl Sunday to the Raptors, and then they only lost by 4 on Saturday the other day, which should have been a rout for the Raptors. And then even against the Pelicans, man, the Pelicans almost came back to make that a game. So these next couple of games, these next 3 games, I think we will see the real Raptors team. Is this team legit, or is this team fraudulent? And, will they end up regretting their decision to buy at the deadline? So, yeah, I can't understate the importance of these next couple of games going into that pivotal 7-game stretch. So,
and to your point, so, like, before that, they had back-to-back quality wins, right? The Kings on January 25th and the Knicks on January 26th, so back-to-back, right? Before that, you have to go back a week, right? The Knicks again, right? Before that, you have to go all the way back until December 23rd, right? I don't count the Phoenix game on December 30th. No Devin Booker. You beat them. Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges still play. I don't even think Aiden played that game either, so I don't really count that.
Yeah.
And then before that, December 21st, so again, the game before that Cavs game, but it took Pascal Siakam to draw 52, 9, and 7 to get it done. So to your point, the Raptors, while I think there is moments of brilliance in this team and that they can potentially hang in there with quality teams, like the Knicks this year have been a quality team, the Kings are a quality team. You beat the Cavs 3 out of 4 times still. it's just so inconsistent that like you have to really really search for a quality win, right? Like
Yeah.
outside of Cleveland and the Knicks, there are other in the Kings, right? But again, that's so long ago
I'm
now.
not
I
even
feel like.
counting the Knicks. I'm not even going to count the
Oh,
Knicks
you said
because the
sure,
Raptors
sure,
always
sure.
have their numbers. So yeah, you would have to go back to the Cleveland and the Kings
The
examples.
Cleveland game. Okay,
Yeah.
before that, let's go one step further. You have to go back to November 16th, the first month of the season, where you beat the Miami Heat.
Yeah. Who
So
aren't
the
even that good right now.
right who are struggling themselves, right? They're struggling. As much as I love Kevin Love, Kevin Love has to start for the Heat right now. That's how much they're struggling. So can the Raptors find whatever good juju or like I don't know? Can they just dig deep down and find whatever it's going to take? Because I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here, but like Denver, LA, Denver, like those are right now 4 straight quality games, all right, against really good teams. The Lakers have played really good basketball. The record doesn't say, but they played really, really good basketball. The Bucks, and can you go beat Milwaukee finally, right? Can you beat Philadelphia finally? Can you beat Boston one of those 2 times, all right? But not only can you got to get like 3 wins out of there somehow, right?
Yeah.
But can you take care of business? And this is where it really comes down to. Can you take care of business these next 3? Chicago, Washington. Can you take care of Charlotte twice? Can you, in my opinion, take care of Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Indiana, Detroit? You take care of business, and what's that, 7 games I mentioned? You win 6, right? Let's say you drop one, but you take care of business, you win 6. What's the Raptors record right now? What, 30 something? 30 and
They're 2
32?
games out of
Right.
500.
You win
30.
those 6, right? That's 36 wins. You win at least 3 more by taking care of like those tough games or whatever. You just somehow find a way you win 3, right? 39. Okay. You beat Minnesota. I think I mentioned that's one of the games. Like you somehow maybe Boston. Hopefully they got the 1 seed locked up somehow. I don't know, right? You got to try to get these wins while you can because it's gonna get tough. It's gonna get really really tough.
Yeah, that's why I think really simply put, make or break the next 3 games. Because if the Raptors fumble this, if they struggle, if they lose these games, that tells me that this team may have regretted their decision at the deadline. And like if you're struggling and barely beating the likes of the Bulls and Wizards, we're talking about like borderline play-in teams with how much they've been struggling. That says a lot about how far the Raptors still have to go in terms of being a legitimate team. And just to keep it real, Sean, I mean, even if the Raptors turn the corner, I think in the grand scheme of things, they're still a middle of the pack team. And, this loss against Cleveland was a reminder of that. It's like, Cleveland, I would give Cleveland the benefit of the doubt. I think it's safe to say in the East, you got the 3 powerhouses, and then Cleveland's like that middle team that has the potential of maybe making a dark horse run. But then after that, it's like Raptors are kind of in no man's land with some of these other teams, like the Hawks, who just fired McMillan and brought in Schneider, and the Heat, who are going backwards, and the Bulls, who have been a mess. I don't know if they'll turn their season around. We'll see.
Throw the Knicks in there, like if you're not one of those top 4 teams, you're all bunched up together.
Exactly.
So really quickly, talking about the Hawks, right quick. I was notoriously low on them. Go look back at one of our early season prediction videos. Notoriously low. I love the Quinn Snyder pickup. I love it. I'm writing an article in the process of working on a Substack piece. If you want to sub it, go read it. Sports Headlines Podcast. Sports Gee, Sean. I have Quinn Snyder ranked as my 13th head coach. 13th ranked head coach. You're getting that guy. I love him a lot. I think he's going to be great for Atlanta. And now, if Trey starts complaining about Quinn Snyder, then it's really a Trey Young problem. You can run out. I keep forgetting the first guy's name. Who he ran out the first before Nate. You remember who it was before Nate?
Yeah. No, it's not coming to my mind right now.
Yeah, and every time I think I have it, it always slips my mind again. But Lloyd Pierce, there we go. Finally.
Yeah, Lloyd Pierce. There you go.
you run Lloyd Pierce. Okay, that kind of makes some sense. Maybe maybe it was Lloyd. Young head coach, right? Good assistant though. Nate McMillan takes over. You make an Eastern Conference Final run. Okay, cool. Nate's the guy. And like, oh wait, like Trey, you're mad at Nate too, or whatever. Okay, we'll back you. You can't run out Quinn too. And you just give him a 5-year contract. Like you're not gonna be able to run Quinn out of town.
No, I really like that pickup for the Hawks, and I think the Hawks could be that one sleeper team that could maybe turn their season around and be an interesting team come playoff time, because like that's a team that has a lot of talent. And Schneider, I'm a big fan of him as well. We know his track record. The Hawks have won 2 in a row, and really they're one of those teams that are amongst the other bubble teams, if you want to call them that. So if the Hawks can kind of all of a sudden piece this thing together, Trey goes on an incredible run. We saw this team in the Eastern Conference Finals not too long ago, so we know what they're capable of doing. And they have DeJounte Murray this time around. So, yeah, if you're looking for like value sleeper picks, the Hawks could potentially turn that corner with Schneider. But, yeah, it's going to be tough, man, because, listen, I think the Hawks are going to trend upwards now after this pickup. And if not, yeah, it's definitely a Trae Young problem. The Knicks have been great. Like, I have no idea where this has come from them. I mean, they won 5 in a row. I don't see them completely falling off anytime soon. Miami is that team that I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's bad right now. It can't get any worse. They've lost 4 games in a row, but I still do think something's going to flip on for them over these next couple of games. So, yeah, that leaves the Raptors.
You can't count out Spo and Jimmy, man. You just can't.
Yeah, you can't. Exactly. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. And I do want to make this point. I want to bring up this point about the Raptors, just going back to what's in front of them. They need consistency from one or two of the other players, the supporting cast around Pascal Siakam. Like Pascal Siakam, I've been one of his biggest critics over the years, whether it be on other podcasts, my own channel, but I can't say anything bad about him this season. He has single-handedly put this Raptors team on his back. If it wasn't for Pascal Siakam, Sean, this season, the Raptors would be in the gutter. Like they would not even be in the plane right now. I really think this team would have completely fallen off and be amongst one of the worst teams in the East. Like this dude has brought it every single night. And it's unfortunate though, because Pascal Siakam, take this game for example. He does everything he can. He puts up 25, 5, and 8. I think he's on pace to becoming the first Raptor to finish the season with 25, 5, and 5 in franchise history. Look at the supporting cast tonight. OG, you said you want a bigger role. You got to show up in moments like this. You only have 7 points. Scotty Barnes, okay, we'll give him the pass. We'll classify this as the whole like sophomore up and down season, and he's had nice games, so I can't get on Scotty Barnes' case. But Gary Trent Jr., 7 points. Fred VanVleet has missed the last couple of games, which is important to note. But the Raptors are going to need 2 of these guys to step up consistently, along with Siakam doing his thing, for them to be a realistic threat of getting back into this thing, because it just can't be Siakam carrying the load and then you got to hold your breath on what these other guys are going to do. They need OG, Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., VanVleet, at least 2 of those 4 guys to come through in these games, along with Siakam doing his thing, for the Raptors to beat the teams that they're about to play and then have a chance against some of the teams they're going to play, some of the elite teams in the West that they're going to play. So, yeah, tonight was a perfect example, just the frustration of not having that support that you need, and Raptors depth not looking good at all. And like, it's pretty embarrassing when you just look at it for the core value of it. The Cavaliers beat the Raptors handedly, and the bench didn't really do anything. It was literally Donovan Mitchell, 35, Garland, 18, Allen, 23, Mobley, 18. That was the bulk of the Cavs. So like, you're talking about 4 starters literally matching the entire output of a Raptors team, like aside from Siakam, of course. Like listen, I know you don't want to look too critically at it because again, it was a tough spot of the schedule, but just little things like that, reoccurring little things like that make you wonder, okay, maybe this team is still ways away until they can become a team that you got to look out for in the East. So
yeah, and that is a really good point you brought up. Fred VanVleet, who was out, missed past couple of games. Him and his family just had, I believe, their 3rd child. So really quick, because we haven't done it, congratulations to Fred VanVleet and his family on their 3rd kid. Last time, I think the first time actually he had a kid, it was during the playoffs in the final, the championship year, right? He came back on a
21,
tear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
came back for the Bucks series, went off, and then
went
it was
off.
amazing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe lightning can strike twice. But I think that's an important point. And maybe that is Fred, right? Fred is at least even on a bad Fred VanVleet game, you're probably getting 15, right? On a bad Fred VanVleet game. But maybe this is why Fred maybe thinks he's worth that price tag. Because like on nights like tonight, where there's no Fred VanVleet, the offense doesn't look good because you don't have that. I mean, even Pascal is your playmaker tonight. He did it well enough, but you don't have that guard playmaker, which coming into the season, I thought the Raptors needed another guard. That was my biggest need for the Raptors was a guard. They didn't address it. That's fine. But I think Fred VanVleet, I think most of the nights he's going to at least provide you with something, whether it's a scoring 15 points or he's going to have games where he can get you 10 assists, right? Things like that. But a game like tonight, no Fred VanVleet, like OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. combined for 5 for 20 and 2 for 7 from three. 5 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 from three, 14 points. That's just unacceptable from a dude who wants to get paid this summer in Gary Trent Jr. And another guy who there's been rumors and reports about him not being happy with this role in OG Anunoby. You're not happy with your role, go produce. This is a perfect
yeah,
opportunity for you to take the reins and go produce. No, Fred VanVleet, Pascal's doing his thing. You go produce, right?
yeah,
So, like, if you were producing at a consistent level, I love OG. I'm one of his biggest fans, I feel. I
yeah,
think he's the the second best on ball perimeter defender from a wing in the NBA. Only guy I think is better or even close is Mikal Bridges, right? Only guy, right? And even then, if you told me OG, I had no gripes or complaints whatsoever,
yeah,
right? In the since he's came back, I know he's a little banged up too, but since he's came back, he's averaging 9 points per game, 4 fouls per game. He has more fouls than he has assists, almost more fouls per game than he has rebounds per game, only at 4.5. He's shooting an abysmal 10% from three. Oh crap! Wait, these numbers are actually about to drop because it doesn't even have today's stats in. So let me redo my map here. No, he's still averaging 25. He's averaging a little over 8 points per game. He's averaging like 3.3 rebounds per game now. Like, and dude is shooting for the month of February, these 3 games since the All-Star break. He is shooting 2 for 12 from three. He's 2
yeah.
for 12 from three since coming back, and he is 7 for 27 from the field. You want a new role, go produce. Like, otherwise, I have nothing to say, dude. Love you, but like you can't
Yeah.
be mad and you're not producing.
Honestly, I don't want to overreact to, obviously you got to take account for the injury and him coming back into the rotation. But yeah, lately, OG to me just seems like a dude who's checked out. And I don't know if that has to be connected to all of the, rumors that had come out and all the talk about him being unhappy here and all that. But yeah, right now OG does not look the same. How much of it is tied to him, just coming off of an injury? It could be a lot, but how much of it is tied to also of OG? Maybe he isn't unhappy here. So I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch. How is OG going to perform down the stretch here? And remember, Sean, like I think we said this in a previous pod. I think that's going to be the number one thing that comes up this off season. Obviously, along with some of the other pressing things of Van Vliet locking up Pirtle and the Gary Trent Jr. decision in that will be what's going to happen with OG. What is next for OG Anunoby in his future with the Toronto Raptors? Is the offseason going to be a time where the Raptors seriously look hard at a deal? Time will tell. But yeah, right now OG has a perfect opportunity, especially with Fred being out and these last couple of games, to step up, show his worth of being that offensive contributor, being that guy who wants to be a main focal point of the offense. And right now he's been dropping the ball. So I think that's a really good point with OG.
Last point I have, and this is about Gary. I think Gary's messing up his money from the state. He's going to get paid regardless. I want to make that clear. I think he's messing up how big his payday can be because of his inconsistency, right? I think this has been a better year at times for Gary Trent Jr. The month, if I had his stats pulled up in front of me, I lost it. Oh, there we go. The month of December and the month of January even gave you some room for like optimism. Like, okay, we turned the corner with Gary Trent Jr. in terms of he's like a 45% and up shooter from the field, 38% and better from three, because that's what he was for a 2-month stretch. Month of December, 48.6% from the field, 40.3% from field, averaged 18. Month of January, about 45% from the field, 38% from three, but 20.8 points per game. He's dipped back, not even points wise, but he's dipped back to like the old Gary Trent Jr., the one we saw earlier in the season and all of last year, it felt, where efficiency wise, he's up and down. He's only had one game this month where he shot better than 45% from the field. He's getting 18 points, but if it takes you 17 shots to get to 18 points, like that's just not efficient basketball. And that's where I think he's going to kind of mess himself up at, because he's just not efficient enough. And yeah.
Last point I want to make, kind of end this thing off on a bit of a positive spin, is the whole Jakob Poeltl stuff. So listen,
Yes.
I was on the record for saying that I wasn't upset with the Raptors trade for Jakob Poeltl. I was more surprised that the Raptors decided to buy and not sell some of the other core pieces that were heavily talked about potentially being moved. Guys like OG, guys like Fred VanVleet, as he is going to become a free agent this offseason. But the move for Jakob Poeltl, in the grand scheme of things, might end up being a huge addition for the Raptors. And so far, he has proven his worth. And it is a matter of the Raptors finally have a true center, and they do look a lot better defensively and just with their overall rim protection with Jakob Poeltl. I think they definitely need to lock him up this summer. I think they will lock him up this summer. You can tell Poeltl likes it here. He's really good friends with Pascal Siakam. And what Poeltl has shown us over the small sample size of him coming back to the Raptors has been great. I don't have negative things to say about what I've seen from Jakob Poeltl, and the Raptors needed to address their center position anyway. So it looks like they have their solution with Poeltl. So that could end up being the bright spot at the end of the season of the Raptors having that long-term solution at the center position with Poeltl playing as well as he is. Now, hopefully it doesn't cost the Raptors big in terms of a draft pick over the next couple of seasons, and hopefully the Raptors won't be a basement dweller and put themselves in that position. But Jakob Poeltl is proving that, he's going to be that solution at the center position. The Raptors just got to fix some of the other issues that they've had on this team.
Yeah, and the Raptors can be really, really scary defensively. If OG locks back in, and I'm more so talking about next year and into the future, like a front court of Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and Jakob Poeltl, right? And then if it's OG, or even if it's Gary Trent Jr., right, at the 2, right? Who knows? Maybe OG's not on the team next year. Yeah, that 2 through 5 is going to be really, really tough defensively, right? So I think, and even offensively, too, I think Jakob Poeltl offers some passing and some finishing and rebounding ability offensively, too, that I think the Raptors do a better job of tapping into. But I do agree. I wasn't the biggest fan of the trade, but he's definitely shut me up because he's been, for the most part, great since becoming re-becoming. That's definitely not a word, a Raptor.
Well, just look at the last 3 games very quickly in particular. They went. I really believe they beat the Magic because of Poeltl. Had a massive night. That's when he dropped 30, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah. So they win that game because of Poeltl. They win the Pelicans game because of Poeltl, because there were a couple of instances in that game where Poeltl got his offensively. He finished 21 points, so he gave Pascal Siakam that much-needed secondary scoring. And also, huge on the glass, had 18 boards, and made a couple of big-time blocks when it looked like the Pelicans were making their run. And then against the Pistons, Poeltl had 14 rebounds. So he has been giving the Raptors a much-needed body inside. He's been huge on the glass, giving the Raptors second chance opportunities. And also the biggest thing is the rim protection. This dude is a phenom, man. Blocking shots, not making it easy for guys to just get into the lane, attack, now when guys drive in on the Raptors, they got to worry about Jakob Poeltl. So just his sheer presence in the paint, in and around the rim, has made a huge difference for this team. And I've seen it over these last couple of games. And he's the reason why the Raptors have 2 out of these last 3 wins. It's as simple as that. So I think Jakob Poeltl long term is going to make more sense, and he is going to be a great fit on this team. It's just the Raptors, I think, moving forward, don't want to get too ahead of myself. They got to kind of restructure everything outside of Poeltl, obviously Barnes and Siakam. I don't think will be going anywhere unless something drastic happens. But in terms of some of those other players I haven't mentioned, I think some reshuffling needs to happen and will happen if obviously the Raptors don't drastically turn this thing around this season.
Yeah, well, Raptors Nation, comment down below. Should you be concerned about the play of guys like Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby? And how excited have you been about Jakob Poeltl's play? Do you think he could really be a long-term solution for the Raptors? Sean. As always, guys, leave a comment and like and share this video. As always, guys, stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.